Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay, guys. So as you're joining on here, you see this beautiful shining face. This is my new friend, Lisa Conoly. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Allie.
So Lisa is a ranch owner here in Bracketville in Kinney County. And this ranch is about 10,000 acres, Lisa,
Yes,
which is pretty
so-
typical in this area.
Yeah.
Is this considered Bracketville right here?
We call it Bracketville.
Okay.
We're in Kinney County. We're outside of the city limits.
So the unincorporated area.
Right.
So how long have you guys been living on this ranch?
Well, I've lived here since I've married my husband. My husband grew up here, and his family, so it's been in the family for over 100 years.
Wow. And over the time that you've lived here, what has been your experience with illegal trespassing? Before we get to this year and what you're dealing with right now, let's look at where you guys have been in the past. What have you seen in a typical year here? What does it look like?
In a typical year, occasionally you would come across some illegal traffic coming through, and one of the neat things that a lot of ranchers used to do they would set out canned goods and a little Virgin Mary, and to let them know that they're stopping at a Christian home, and a can opener and some bottled waters, and so people were coming through. They could get that food and that sustainment. And years ago, you used to be able to hire work. You know, you could hire them for day work, and then some immigration laws changed, and you couldn't do that any longer. Mm-hmm. And so the traffic was slow. It wasn't ongoing. You know, it wasn't just everyday thing. Every once in a while, you'd see them. You know, maybe a group once a month, maybe once every 2 months. And
what's a group size?
A group,
perspective?
Most of the time you would see only 2 people.
Okay. And would it be
Because the
single
rest-
adult men, or would it be family?
2 men would come up, and they might come up to the fence, but there was a huge group in the bush. And so you never saw that, but you knew they were asking, you know, for like a loaf of bread, because it was to feed more than just them. So you knew there was a group of at least 5 to 10 that were traveling together. And sometimes there were only groups of 2. And my husband would see them sometimes, you know, they'd be sitting down outside against a building or something, and he'd see someone with no shoes, and he'd come in and get shoes and take shoes out to them. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that we started to notice that it was a different group of people coming across. Maybe
Can you explain what that means, what that looks like?
I think more people coming up from we had some Hondurans coming through.
Okay.
And so and people were starting to talk. The sheriffs at the time was starting to say it's a little bit different group, and it's not just, it was mainly people that were coming across from like Ciudad Acuña or Piedras Negras, and they were coming across. And so that stopped. And then you had Hondurans, and one day we were going shopping. My husband was in the shop over there, and my daughter, we were going to run to Del Rio and do a little shopping, and our youngest son wanted to stay just here at the house. And then my daughter had a thought, said, no, you know what? She came back in and said, why don't you go with us? And so he did. And right after we left, 4 Hondurans came into our house. And we did not recognize something was going on for a while. We noticed that shoes had been rearranged. That my older son's bag was missing that had all of his cards, his identification, money in it. And so they probably liked it because it was an over-the-shoulder bag. And they took 2 things of Bluebell ice cream. When you live in Texas, Bluebell is supreme. So they took, and that was when we noticed, we're like, wait, who took all the ice cream? And then we were like, why are your shoes on my bed and all this? And so we contacted the Border Patrol, and then they tried to find him, and just realized, kind of learned at that point in time, that was probably about 10 years ago, and we learned from that point that you needed to call the sheriff's office and the Border Patrol. Like they all needed to be in on this hunt, and so I don't think they ever found them.
Wow.
After that, and you know, I've caught a person in this house before, and that's it's unnerving, but I've lived with that, and now Today, it's different. It's every day, I think,
Every
when the
day.
dogs go off and they bark, and I'm like, we are bodies of energy. And so you can just tell on certain nights that you feel like it's not just you there. And then when the dogs start to bark, it's a different bark. And, it's just instantaneous. They know where they're going. Oh my goodness, that the dogs are really, they're on to something. And then you start to think, that the traffic is so much greater. And I just pray that it's someone that wants to just continue to pass through, that they're not wanting to stop. But the reality is they're stopping. They're stopping at places. Maybe not right in front of us. Maybe one of our barns. Maybe somewhere they're spending the night.
But your son...
I know.
Tell me what your son just told
He
us.
just said that, I guess it was just a few days ago, that he was going outside to put golf clubs in. Well, he played yesterday, so it could have been yesterday. They didn't tell me because they didn't want me to freak out, I'm sure. But he goes out and there's 2 right there. And so right at our house. So they're here. They're very good about not being seen if they don't want to be seen. And the brush is thick, and they use that to their advantage. But in town, people have had experiences with them going up to their houses and knocking on the doors and saying, "Can we charge our phones?"
Wow.
And so I worry about that happening there. The school had 2 on the school ground watching children. And so the resource officer, I think the mentality in our community has been that we should let these people come across. There may be some that are opposed to it, but they're not hurting anything, and now they're starting to see that it's a different element. And these poor people, there are some good people that are probably coming across, and there are some that are maybe the criminal element that's coming across. Because if they were really good people, they could just go to Del Rio and hop on a bus and go to anywhere USA. But they're not. They're coming here. So why the group that we're getting, we need to be just a little bit more cautious, because they couldn't get on the bus. So that means there's certain criminal aspects to that person, because they didn't pass some kind of test to where they could get on there.
Yeah.
So their record was following them. But we've allowed them to come in. This administration, I guess, has created this open door policy. They just don't realize that they have joined into an agreement with a criminal element that has transferred all of this to human trafficking, modern day slavery. And they've challenged the people that have lived on the border. They've challenged our faith, that faith that we should have in our government to keep us safe. That's gone. They've challenged our borders. They've left them open, although they're very clever, because yes, there are Border Patrol agents, customs agents on the bridge. And so they are monitored. People are coming and going. But let's look at the raw border, the raw open border line between these 2 countries. There's no one there to say that you can't step on this side or that side. There's no one there.
And then once you're there, you're here.
Right. Yeah. And it's easy. If there's no one really monitoring that is an open border, so they can't say that that's a closed border. So, and they've also challenged our freedom, because we've had to really look at keeping our security a little bit closer to us. And you have at night, sometimes you have someone say, go in your house, lock your doors, turn on all your lights.
What does that feel like for you when you get that call?
That's when you're like, I'm texting one of the DPS officers and asking, do I need to be concerned? Is there something going on? What should I do? And he is very reassuring to say, we're on it. We have our eyes on them. We're following them. We've got it under control. That an incident right south of us. The illegal alien last week pulled a gun on a hunter. And so these little incidences are small and minuscule right now. But there are some pretty big things that are happening. You mentioned one that happened in this area where it's going to take a major incident and loss of life might happen before someone finally says, oh, we need to do something about this. The government has a responsibility to its citizens and to American citizens first, and not to others just coming in. And it changes the entire demographic. It changes the entire culture. And we live in a small community that is mainly Hispanic, and we have grown up with these people. We love these people. We go to church with these people. I have taught their children and their children's children, and I'm invested in this community and these people that are here. And there's a right way to come across, and there's a wrong way. And I'm not in favor of having criminals come across. I'm not in favor of people coming across and being tied to a criminal element. That's huge. And that needs to stop. And anyone in America, and I know they're dealing with, there were tornadoes that hit, and people are dealing with some really important issues. And every section of the United States has some different problems that are going on. And I respect that. But at some point in time, they have to look into their communities and go, how has it been changed? And why are we changing the culture and the environment that we're living in? And what are our taxpayer dollars going to? What is affecting us today is going to be affecting the rest of the United States in the months and weeks to come.
Nobody's staying in Texas, really.
No, they're not.
They come across and they go as far away from the border as possible. The border counties get the immediate impact.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. No, and I don't think people really process that. And the sheriff has now said it. We've talked about it many times, that people come across and impact you briefly, but they're moving throughout the United States. And again, we don't have their identity. We don't even know if the identity that we have is valid.
No. And so you have this shadow society that when are they, if they're still connected to this criminal element, when are they called to arms? When is a movement that's going to happen? And what is their job once they're here? Mm-hmm. Are they the drug suppliers? Are they the child trafficking people? Mm-hmm. Why are illegal aliens on our school ground looking at our children? So America, you need to wake up, because there's something very serious and very sinister going on underneath this. This is the convenient distraction. Don't get your eyes off of what's really happening here, because it's a very evil criminal element that's happening.
And part of that criminal element, Lisa, you and I have been talking about it pretty extensively today, is the cartel being involved. And in order to get from point A to the U.S., there are a lot of things that people are going through and a lot of hands they're changing through, and that includes the cartel. We know that even some of the cartel might say, okay, we're going to help you over, but then we're going to help you with the mortgage on your home. We're going to basically own your home while you're over there sending us money home. We're going to take care of your family over here too. So it's like they've got them for life once they help them in, if they got help, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what you're saying with these criminal elements. What do they owe? What do they owe the guys that got in here? What do they owe the smugglers or the cartel? Right. And that's what you're saying, is once they get over here,
what are they
got a job to do now.
Yes.
That makes sense.
They're raising money, but what kind of job can they get? So have we opened it up to where they can get any job out there? Are there specific jobs for them? So if America did this just to say, oh, we've got jobs that aren't being filled, so we need them to fill jobs. No,
but they can't work technically.
Yeah, they can't work. They're not legal citizens, and we've not allowed that pathway for them to come through and be vetted. So we don't, and it's not just Mexican citizens.
Most of them aren't.
They're not.
No.
Because I know I was raised here. I know the difference. I know I would open my door for any of those other people. But this group, I don't know where they're from.
I can tell you, Lisa, on my adventures since I started in August, I have not met one person who is a Mexican national.
Oh my goodness.
Not met one. Not met one that is trying to be here from Mexico.
So what is our purpose for allowing that nationality in, all from the 170 countries that are coming in? What is our purpose? What does that serve? What does that serve the United States? That's a question that people need to be asking.
Yeah, the argument, I guess, is the fleeing prosecution, fleeing for the better life and things like that. But then there's the very gray area of the asylum claims that are economic ones. Those aren't valid, right? And I will say again, the majority, I would say 99.9% of people I spoke to in every capacity, from Del Rio to Chiapas to Yuma, they all want to be in America to work and have a better life. That's not a valid refugee claim per congressional law. Mm-hmm. So, we talk about things getting lost in translation, right? And what are they being told, or what do they...
But they're being owned, so they're being supplied money, and in that supply, they belong to someone. And so here they are. And America is openly knowing this. So you have that illegal foundation even right there. Mm-hmm. So on top of that, they're connected to the cartel or whatever criminal element that is over there, and they're coming across here. So we're openly knowing that they're coming into the country and they're being owned by someone else. That's modern day slavery. Mm.
But it's almost like people don't feel like it's any kind of our problem because it's all happening on that side before they get over here, right? So it's like, well, that happened over there. Right. It's different. And so definitely a lot of things. Obviously, there's no easy fix here. But let's go to before these last couple of years where we've seen this, really this last year where we've seen the uptick, right? We're seeing across the border, we're well over 1.7 million, highest numbers we've ever seen. Back in the 80s, we got, I think, hit 1 million. Now, and we will be fully transparent. Under the Trump administration, 2019, numbers did get up to 900,000. However, a normal year is about 450,000 for our southern border. We're at over 1.7 million already, and I don't think people understand the magnitude of that, right? 400,000 is a normal year, you guys.
Right.
So let's go back to a normal year for you, Lisa Conoly, on the Conoly Ranch. Did you feel unsafe? Were there moments where you were like, man, I can't sleep. This is not good. I'm unsettled. Tell me your safety feelings.
Every day I walked to the gate and back. So I would do my almost 2 miles walk, and never worried. And do the little speed walk, little jog, and I loved it. That was the end of my day or a school day, and I'd come home and I'd put on my tennis shoes and I'd take off and I'd tell my husband, I'm going to go for a walk. Okay, good.
Would you do that now?
No. And as a matter of fact, I think that stopped last October, not this October, the October before. So,
why did you stop it? Did you see something? Like, what was it that goes?
I just had that feeling that someone was watching me. But I one day, the last walk I took, I walked to the gate and I came back down the hill, and we had found, some arrowheads in that area, and I thought, that it had rained and the wash, and it always brings up a new arrowhead. And I love to collect arrowheads. Mm-hmm. And so I decided, when I get down there, I'm going to stop for a minute and look for arrowheads. And so I always put my hands behind my back, and then I get my head down ready, and I'm looking for the arrowheads. And all of a sudden, that little house that's on that hill, when we came down the hill, I heard the door slam. And I was like, and I whipped around, and I thought, I shouldn't have done that, because now they know I heard them. And I'm like, did they go in the house? Did they go out of the house? That was the last time. So I was already starting to carry a gun with me, because I was already starting to feel like a little bit. And so I thought, do I even have enough ammo to take care of myself? I was by myself, and it was just a very eerie feeling. And I just decided to just walk on as fast as I could, just started jogging. I was like, okay, this is done. They know I know that they're there now. And so I just kept on walking. And then when I got to the bridge, I just ran all the way home. I was like, was like, okay, I need to be in better shape. And I was like, I felt like lead feet going up that hill. I was like, now I gotta make it. And once I got up to the top of the hill, I was like, okay, I'm safe.
So now, Lisa, you told me you're packing pretty much all the time. You got your pistol on your hip all the time. Mm-hmm. Tell me what it feels like to be on your personal property, feeding your dogs, watering whatever you're out there doing, just as a homeowner with a pistol on your hip now.
Well, that's multifaceted, because you know that you would use it if you needed to, but the thought of having to do that is so scary, because I know I would if I had to. It's a scary thought. I don't know. I don't know if I could put all of that into words, because I feel safer with it on. But if there was a real confrontation, how would that play out? What would I be? What would that be like? What is their intent? And I'm pretty certain that I would take care of my life. If I was in fear of my life, I would have to. And I may face some repercussions. I don't know if I really feel like I would be the victim there, and maybe not the criminal. Thank you, Sheriff Co, because he said he understands and he would back the citizens of Kinney County and in their support to defend themselves and their property.
So do you feel like, you were just telling me moments ago that you have a hard time fully sleeping? You feel like you're not able to just rest and turn it off. Explain to me a little bit about that. I mean, you have a 10,000 acre property that you guys are trying to keep an eye on, which we'll go into a little bit about how you keep an eye on it, how it's being impacted here after this. But I mean, how do you sleep at night, girl? I guess is the question. Without
the bags under my eyes.
Oh no.
No, I wake up a lot. I wake up a lot, and I think I'm not alone. I think a lot of the rancher wives, we talk a lot, and there are a lot of us that we're not getting a full night's sleep, and it's either the motherhood or the nature of it, and just keeping your family safe.
Yeah.
It's just different now. We can go and stay in a hotel, and I'm like, I can sleep all night. I don't wake up once. I'm like, whoa.
Really? Wow.
I'm like, okay, and so I probably should be worried there too. Who knows?
So you feel unsafe in a space that is one that has always been
right. I do feel safer with our sons here. Just more people in and around the house, and so
you were saying about your neighbors over there. They've kind of they explained to you that they're a little insecure. It's just a husband and wife. So
they call on us, and they'll text us if they feel, if they get news of someone, like they're around. There's like 7 of them outside the house, or there's, they're tracking some. They're coming up this way, and we don't know what their mindset is. We know that they want to be a getaway. So we know that they hopefully don't want to stay, but you don't know who's coming in and what their reasoning is, and that's what's so upsetting, and that's what should be upsetting to the rest of America, is you don't know who's going to move in next to you. You don't really know what their allegiance is, and were they really here just to live a better life? Do they have a trade? Are they workers? Was it so easy for them to come across to be sponsored by someone? And and just take a look at them. Take some time to watch the videos that are going out there and look at those people, and then say, wow, are they really workers? You can tell the difference. I taught for 24 years. I can tell the difference in a student that looks like one that's an A student, and the other one that is like never at school, doesn't turn in their homework, and you have to conference with those. That element. You see it. It's there. And so people need to stop and look at those and then think, oh, wow, are they coming over here for help?
Right. So now you were talking about, excuse me, go ahead.
No. What type of help do they want? I believe everybody that immigrated here to America and they were coming. They were workers. That was a generation. Those were, people that came over here. I've been to Ellis Island. I looked at all of those beautiful historical documents and the buildings where the people stayed, and they were quarantined, and before they were released into America. They didn't have a perfect system then, but they had something, that would say, okay, these people came over, they were working, and that's where the westward movement began. And people were, I want to stake a land, and I want to ranch it, and I want, they were working, and they were trying so hard to build their life. They didn't ask for, well, where's, this was all before FDR. This was, so they weren't asking for, well, where's my welfare check? They came over here. The only thing that they could do to get food on the table was to work, was to start that garden, to go out and work for someone. That was it. They didn't. And now if someone comes across, we have all of these government programs in place that take care of everyone, and some made up ones and some new ones that come in. And so what is there a real reason? We don't know that. If you don't vet them, you don't know.
Right, we're learning there is no way to vet them.
So when they talk about America's a free, people immigrated across, they immigrated across without any government programs in there to give them any helping hand. They came across and worked. So that is a perspective that I don't think has been looked at and focused on, because we are a nation that was founded on immigration, but we were founded on working immigration. They were going to make their life better, and they worked for it.
And I mean, the sentiment I'm hearing from a lot of migrants is, the U.S. is going to take care of us. Right. Mexico didn't take care of us. That's why we left. We're here now. The U.S. has got to be different, and they honestly believe that. So now, Lisa, you were briefly kind of talking there a little bit about, you guys were kind of texting each other. You're talking. Sheriff Co even, confirmed that just how important you guys as civilians and ranchers and the network of that communication is to keeping this community and this county safe as well, because you got a ranch of 10,000 acres. It's private land. They can't monitor this all the time. Right. So how do you guys monitor your land? And tell me how you guys play a role in kind of sharing information and networking together to make sure your guys' areas are safe.
Oh. Need time to think about that.
How many cameras do you guys have on your ranch, I guess, is first?
Mainly DPS have the cameras.
So do they come in and ask you guys, can we put these cameras up?
Yes, they do.
Okay, and when was that they put cameras throughout your ranch?
A couple of months ago.
Okay,
probably
so it's fairly
August.
new.
Yeah, maybe August, September.
Okay, yeah. So they put cameras, they came in, hey, you guys have a lot of activity. Now, did you alert them and say, we need extra help because we're seeing extra activity? Or did they come to you knowing your ranch was kind of a hotspot?
Right. They knew. They were like, we've been able to track, and we're tracking it through here. And so we're like, okay.
So did you like that? Or was that like, it seemed twofold, right? You're like, but then you feel safer.
Right, because you have a hunting industry at the same time, and that's important. It brings in a lot of out-of-towners, and they support local businesses, and they eat in our restaurants, and we've really enjoyed having our hunters here. They're great.
And they hunt on. You're all good. We're super casual here. No big deal. And I'm just kidding. one of the boys on the ranch, of course, running a ranch. Okay, so we talk about.
You can push it, Erin. We
you
lost
guys all
our.
are gonna have to come in the live shot at some point and introduce yourselves.
We lost our window of opportunity.
Sorry.
There are the dogs and everything.
Everybody's here now. It's a party. So we had that was a really good interview, Lisa. No, I'm just kidding.
That was good.
So
we're done now.
Bye, guys. No. So
the dogs are next.
So you got these cameras put up. It's like, okay, we got an added layer. But again, the hunting industry, you got people that come in and hunt on your land now, through permits and what have you. And so how has this impacted that? I'm understanding that immigrants are driving the hunt away, the game away.
Yes.
Then we've got the pursuits that are driving game away because you bring in the helicopters, you bring in all these things. So talk to me about how that is impacting the industry here.
I know a couple of ranchers who lost their hunting leases because the hunters were very concerned about their safety coming out. And they have little camps. They'll do a Connex or they'll bring out a little RV trailer, and so they have their little areas. They have their little electrical drops, and they have really cute little areas they build out on their leases. And we wanted our hunters to continue to enjoy their time and to be safe. And so we felt like this was a good working arrangement. Our son, Stanford, do you
want to come over and say hi by your mom? Because you made enough noise in there. Get over there. No, he was in there.
I got you recording now.
Come on, just get in and wave. This is one of the lovely Conoly boys.
Hi.
Stan Jr.'s here. Stanford Jr. Hello, with a mouthful. He was the one making all the noise in there, so we had to get you in here thrashing around.
I'm sorry, work never ends on the ranch. You know?
We were just talking about how.
Thanks. Oh, he's gone now.
I have a question for you, so that you could answer better than I could, about how are we balancing with the hunting and the industry, and how important that is to us and to the community. How are we able to have our hunters here as well as DPS, and just that whole relationship going on, and how are the hunters feeling basically about their safety with the illegal alien traffic and the
Hunters don't like having illegal immigrants walking up to them when they're sitting in blinds and they're trying to hunt. It scares off the deer. It scares them. They don't know what their intentions are. They also don't like DPS chasing the illegals while they're hunting, but that has to be done. They understand. You got to keep a balance between it. Maybe this is going to sound bad, but maybe don't get so active with hunting the illegals on our property on weekends. Hunting season's a big deal around here. You scare deer off, you're going to become an enemy of the people. You don't want to do that. But everyone has to make sacrifices whenever the state is against, not the state, Texas is a good place. Whenever the nation is against you and they want to go one way.
That's how you feel? You feel like the nation's against you guys?
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. Just ask any truck driver these days, everything's union work and they have to have emissions controls, and everyone's got problems with government bureaucracy, and I'm kind of libertarian, so I like to be left alone by everybody.
So Stanford Jr., tell me about the importance of the network that you guys have as ranchers, working with other ranchers, working with sheriff, DPS. Like, you guys give a lot of information to them. I know that the cameras ping and stuff like that, but it's really important. Talk to me about your relationship, kind of keeping them informed and being able to be a source for your community to keep everybody safe.
As far as communication goes, it's a two-way street. We'll tell them if we see a group, and we give them, mostly it's just about giving them permission to get on your property. They respect our, rights to private property and to our to keeping to, kind of to ourselves. But we allow them to set up cameras, come out, and try to, clean up the mess we've got out here, the border crisis.
Well, and that's like your job out here on the ranch right now, pretty much, is cleaning up messes. So tell me about what you're experiencing out here and what you're seeing by way of kind of residual impacts of this illegal trespassing on your guys' property.
Well, illegal immigrants like cutting fences. They don't like going over fences. It's a pain. We've got barbed wire, so they'll cut them. And we run cattle, we run livestock, and the fences are there for a reason, to keep cattle off train tracks, off roads. It becomes a liability to the community if you're driving at night, and all our cattle are Brangus, and that's mostly black cow, so you can't see that at night, and you'll hit it before you can put on the brakes. It's a danger to the community. They like to cut water lines. If you don't bury your water lines deep enough and they know it's there, they'll cut it because they want water.
So what does that mean for you?
That means that I get to work on weekends, which I'm going out right now to fix a water line.
Wait, tell me about that. What does that mean? So they went in. What would a cut water line? I mean, I'm pretty ignorant on ranch life, guys.
Well,
I'm sorry, forgive me. But what does cutting a water line look like? What does it impact you? What does the fix look like?
Illegals generally carry knives. I've found a few big pocket knives, and we run a poly pipe out here, which is a black plastic pipe, for our water lines. You can run galvanized pipe, which they won't cut through, but that's old school, and that thing will rust up. Or you can run PVC pipe, which they don't have to cut through, because even if you use a high schedule, like a hard schedule PVC, like Schedule 40, they just have to step on it and pull and break it. So it becomes a process and the water's for our cattle, for our livestock, and even around the house is for us. So they're not trying to be a pain in the rear end, but they are. They want to get to a sanctuary city like Austin, Texas, calling you out. There's it's a chore. Instead of just worrying about our cattle, worrying about things we need to get done, we have to worry about them. And I always carry a gun now, but I don't think I'm gonna have to use it on them. But it's a nice precaution. Rather have it, not need it, So.
So do you feel like your safety or your concerns have changed drastically over the last year, or do you feel like this is just par for the course?
They've magnified. More people coming across. When I was young, I'd maybe see 4 or 5 a year. Now I'll see 4 or 5 a week. So it's really gone up. It's wild. And since so many of them are being picked up on the border and shipped places by our government, they get on buses or something, it makes you wonder why these guys are taking a dangerous trek across. Probably because they have criminal records. They know they're not going to be accepted in here. So we're not getting the best and brightest to come across.
That's what your mom was kind of explaining too. Yeah. So what do you want to change? Like, what do you guys think is something that our government, both of you can kind of chime in, what do you think is something as ranch owners, as people in a community that is a border county, what is the way to make a move here? What is something that we can do or that needs to be done that you see as a solution, or even a move in the right direction, so to speak, moving the needle in the right direction?
Civilian-owned, fully automatic weapons, our ability to own our own nuclear arms, turrets all over the place.
You're not gonna answer. Let your mom. No, just kidding.
I think to fully adhere to the Supreme Court's ruling on Remain in Mexico policy, it needs to stop. And we need to be able to go back and find all of those people and really get identification for them, and see if they are criminals, and really go back and do some work. We have a lot of work to do, and it has to be stop anyone else from coming in, and then let's go back and look at these people. There is that would take a lot of work. It's a process, right. But it's something that has to be done. Mm-hmm. Just as law enforcement is taking criminals off the street and they put them in jail if they're hurt, if they're shooting someone, or if they've robbed a place, they're going to spend some time. We cannot have that element of people on the streets, mm-hmm. and in our communities and in our schools. And we just need to be very careful. And there are some things. There's no quick fix now because, as you said, 1.7 million people are in here illegally, mm-hmm. and someone is saying, but they're legal, we're just going to let them have, we're putting it into the Build Back Better bill that, mass amnesty. I don't know if that's still in there.
Yeah, as a serious answer, like she said, it just comes down to actually having consequences to illegal immigration instead of benefits. They come across, right. And they get all sorts of things for them. It starts off something small, and not saying I agree or disagree with this, but like DACA dreamers who are over here illegally, they get amnesty or whatever they call it. And then they push you back a little further. That's how they push it at first, and then push back a little further. And then you accept families because you can't separate the families. And then all the illegals that come across say, we're family. You don't send us back. It's, okay, well, you get to stay. And then after that, now they're traumatized by Trump splitting them up. So give them $450,000. I mean, after that, who knows? They're just going to keep moving the goalpost back until you don't know where you're at. So, little consequence to your actions would be nice.
It'll never end.
Do you guys what did you think about the construction of the wall?
Oh, I supported it.
You did?
It never got around here. Right now, they're doing, I don't know if you've seen it, they're doing a few...
She did.
The shipping containers?
Yeah, the shipping containers.
Well, they stopped. What was wild is the video that they put out, the shipping containers lined all the way, the Rio. Right? Like pretty much all the way through that Eagle Pass POE. Well, now there's only about half of that. They're only going south of the river crossing. So that big river crossing right there where you drop the boats in and stuff right there, that boat ramp that they're all walking across, there's no shipping containers north of that.
They removed them.
Okay.
Just recently.
So, but they do still have the military style boats, but you can't have those in Eagle Pass. They can't get them through there. So they're up there, or I think maybe they're not in Eagle Pass. They're in, I know they're in La Jolla. They can't, I don't think they can have them in, for some reason in Del Rio, but I know they're in La Jolla. But they removed a lot of the shipping containers. So, you know, I don't know. I know they have the quote unquote bush wall there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the smaller iron black fence.
Right.
Oh, really?
And they did have the rebar in the ground for the quote Trump wall.
The Trump wall.
But obviously, the construction was halted. So you, Lisa, you're saying it was something you supported. It was something that you thought would have been a tool to help. Stan Jr., what do you think about the
I think the
opportunity?
same. I mean, it's pretty simple. If you don't have some kind of border that you can monitor, because you know they'd build the wall and then they'd set up cameras on it and they'd have you know technology checkpoints where they can be like, okay, he's hit this camera, so we know he's trying to cross here. It gives you an easy boundary line to patrol, but instead they've got miles of open nothingness to hopefully run across one. Well, not even that now. The DHS, what is it, the secretary or someone, the guy that runs it? Mayorkas. Yeah. I mean, what a piece of work that guy is. He's the worst. Good Lord Almighty. He's got a fox guarding the hen house. It's crazy. That's the worst.
Okay.
That's why I'm like, you need
Yeah,
him. He's great.
If you edit any of this, keep that just that.
This is
piece.
live stream, bro. You're on
is it?
live.
Oh, okay. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hope I haven't said anything to offend y'all.
Nothing.
Just kidding.
You know, you're being honest. That's all we do here. Is it's real honesty,
With my
and
hands.
people deserve to know what's going on. You know, with you guys, and that's the other side, right? You guys are landowners. You're getting an impact that most people aren't seeing, and most people in the U.S. go, "Yeah, they're used to this." Tell me that though. Is this something you're used to? I mean, you're telling me that. You know, a while ago, you weren't carrying your gun,
and
you
now
know, and now you're not sleeping well. You guys are like, okay, this is the hand we're dealt, so we're going to handle it. Like Sheriff Joe Frank said, God only gives you what you can handle, so we'll handle it. So you guys are rising to the occasion, you're handling it. But this isn't normal to you.
No, not from 2 years ago. No.
Well,
no.
I'd say it's not normal to me, but it may be normal to some of the older ranchers around the area. I went to an event where, who's the attorney for Abbott?
Oh, Kim Paxton.
Paxton came to town here, and man, they're really mean to him. But I guess they're mean to all politicians around here.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking to some of our older ranchers, and one rancher I know real well. I'm actually related to him. He said 20 years ago it was like this. So he said, you know, some administrations come in and they're very lenient. He said maybe not to this. It wasn't as bad as this, but 20 years ago they experienced something similar.
Mm-hmm.
And says that, you know, there are steps to mediate it, to settle it down a little bit, but it never fully goes away.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to me, it's you know a new crisis. What about you? It's same?
Oh yeah, it's a new crisis. It's the whole tone has changed. Just having the DPS call you and say, you know, we're chasing a group here. You know, I mean, he's told me a couple of times, you know, go in your house, you know.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Inside.
They tell us to get inside, lock our doors, turn on all the lights, and.
How do you? I asked your mom, Stan Jr., about how she felt when she gets that kind of call and that message. How do you feel when are you like, let's go, or are you like?
It actually kind of. It shouldn't, because this is just a me problem, but it kind of ticks me off a little bit. So I turn off all my lights, I open all my doors,
and
put out a little pinata so they can come hit it.
Yeah.
You know, really, because it's our property. Like, don't tell me to go inside and lock my doors. I know it's for my own safety, but like.
But there's a part
I'll take care of myself.
Yeah.
But I understand it can get bad. You know, we have been robbed before at these houses here. I took a really nice watch. If you'll ever find it out there, it's in Invicta. It's really cool.
Shout out.
Yeah, it's probably in a pawn shop somewhere in Austin, or San Antonio. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, I understand what they're looking out for us. We've got Galveston police right now. They're coming from all over Texas to help.
Galveston's staying on your guys' property,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Which has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Because we had traffic. My husband said that in between our house and our brother-in-law's house, there's a little road right there, and my husband was seeing tracks there every day, and it stopped when the Galveston officers moved in.
How long have
So-
they been there?
6 months, maybe? Has it been that long?
No, maybe not that long. 4
Okay.
months.
I don't know.
4 months, maybe.
Okay. Before or after the cameras?
All
They're
that
after.
started happening.
They're after.
Yeah.
They came after?
Yeah.
Okay. So it all within kind of the Del Rio situation.
Right.
All within around that
Yeah,
time.
exactly. Whenever
Yeah.
caravans started flooding the area.
Late August, September time, we
Yeah.
started to see this. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So anything else you guys want to share? I haven't gotten any, we've been answering, questions before they're even asked. So is there anything else that I haven't touched on, Lisa or Stan Jr., that you know of that you guys want to share about or want people to know or, want people to understand about what you're dealing with here in Kinney County?
Mm-hmm. We're trying to be compassionate to the illegal immigrants. We're not mean to them. I don't shoot at them or anything like that or try to run them down. It's nothing like the media would try to portray.
Right.
The landowners around here. Not that they've attacked us yet, but quote me on that. It's a matter of time. Maybe they want a better life. Maybe they just want an easier life. I don't know what it is. We try to be nice. If they need water, we'll give them water. But I also call Border Patrol. I don't care what kind of sob story they have. They all have one. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and if your intent is to be nice to people and loving, and God calls you to be loving, of course, but that doesn't mean you need to disregard the laws of the land, and especially of the greatest nation in the world, the United States. So be nice to them, but don't be mean to the U.S. just to help out an illegal immigrant. So that's my piece.
Well said.
Yeah, I'm eloquent like that.
Well, I can't